Hello there, I'm the student, and in this video I'm going to show you how you, as any nation in the world except the Papal State, can spawn the Protestant Reformation scripted in 1463. Therefore, not only unlocking the Protestant religion, the Reformed religion, but also the Council of Trent, if you want to stay Catholic, as well as the Anglican religion 50 years earlier than usually possible. And for that, actually, I started as the nation of Portugal because I think they have a quite decent position to do that the fastest, obviously. But keep in mind that everything that I'm going to tell you in the explanation of this video can be done as any other nation as well. You just have to get the same requirements as I did as Portugal, which I'm going to talk about in detail in a second. But the basic requirement is simply have access to Catholic provinces and have access to a few OPM vassals. And with that, let's go straight into the actual trick of the video. So this is now the setup that I did to spawn the earliest Reformation that you probably ever saw. And I'm going to use a very simple trick in that sense that every single nation that has access to Catholic provinces can do that. But of course it takes a little bit of effort, and that is why I used my first 16 years to set this up. But you're going to see in a second what I'm talking about. First of all, you have to ask yourself what reform desire consists of. Now, mainly this is based on the events that there are in the game for increasing reform desire that every Catholic nation can get. These events are of course purely based on luck and RNG, right? But there are a few things that basically change that in a few different ways, and one of these things is if you have more reform desire. So if you have above 50% reform desire, there is an additional event that is enabled after that can spawn for every Catholic nation that gives an additional guaranteed 0.2 additional reform desire when whatever option the AI clicks, right? So that's why getting the reform desire over 50% or only over 50% would already be a huge boost to the speed of the Reformation. And of course also a few events that can only trigger after 1480 and even after 1490. So that is why the Reformation usually starts around 1490 to 1520. I'm going to spawn the Reformation, you probably saw it in the thumbnail or the title, probably within the next 2 years. So by 1462. I'm going to use a different source of reform desire apart from events that is accessible also for every Catholic nation, which is a specific decision. So let me just go to the Pope right now and scornfully insult the Pope, which brings me below negative 50 relations, which is very important because that enables a decision which is called declare stature in restraint of appeals. And this decision comes available once you have a military and admin skill of at least 2, which should be doable, as well as have more than negative 50 opinion of the Papal State. And if you click this decision, you get 10 prestige, 1% reform desire, as well as all the neighboring nations and the Papal State, all the neighboring Catholic nations, of course, get a huge negative relation malus. So I'm going to talk about that in a second. But it also gives you a modifier that basically disallows you from clicking this decision again. So as long as you have this modifier active, you cannot click this decision again. But you can see down at the bottom, it says this modifier gets removed when the state religion changes. And that is exactly what I want to do, because if you have a look at my economy charts, then you see that I have exactly 50% Sunni and 50% Catholic development. And that, of course, allows me to switch to Sunni religion whenever I want. But I'm going to do it with a little, trick, because it's a little difficult to do it otherwise with just provinces. But I'm going to get to that in a second. First of all, you're going to see, before I want to click this decision, I want to get rid of my land border with Meth and Tyrone, because these are my subjects and I don't want them to lose opinion of me. So I'm just going to feed this 5 development Catholic Ulster to Tyrone. So there we go. Now you can see when I click this thing right now, let me just pause one day. Yeah, you can see that now these 2 subjects of mine won't get that modifier again. Meaning the modifier gets removed when the state religion changes. The consequence of that is that if I switch to Sunni in a second, after I click this decision, I'm going to lose the modifier, and then if I become Catholic again, I can click the same decision again and therefore get 1% reform desire every time I switch to Sunni and then back to Catholic. And I'm just going to do that real quick already for now, just like that. There we go. You can see now we have 37% instead of 36% that we had before. Now the only interesting question is, how do you want to switch your religion? Now, as I said, I have a little more Sunni development right now, as I gave away that one Irish province. So I need to do something about that to even that out again. But first of all, I want to become Sunni. And that's why I'm going to do a little trick, which is I'm going to move my capital to this province in North Morocco state that I actually start with. And that is a Sunni province, of course. And that means that I unlock an additional decision, which is called Adopt Islam as the state religion. And that not only lets me become Sunni basically for free, but on top of that, it also gives me 1 stability and 10 legitimacy. So let's just do that real quick. There we go. Now you can see I can also, every time I switch Sunni, click this decision over here, which gives me mysticism. So eventually I'll be able to click this one over here for additional manpower. I can also get 50 relations with all known Muslim countries, so really nice. And I can take a scholar, a school of Islam, but it doesn't really matter because I'll lose that in a second anyways. So there we go. Now the only thing that I need to do is to get back to Catholic. And as we know, I am exactly -5 development, so I basically need to lose 6 Sunni development. And for that, I'm actually going to concentrate my newly conquered lands. So you can see I'm going to lose 2 development here. I'm going to lose 2 development here. And I'm also going to lose 3 development over here. That brings me up to 7. So actually 1 more than I needed. But now I'm up by 2 development for Catholic provinces, and therefore whenever I send a missionary, so let's say this one over here for example, I can send a missionary there and it will change to become a Catholic rebel type over here once I update the rebel type. To do that, I'm just going to let 1 day pass, get the Dhimmi estate, and now I'm going to just give all the non-Muslim provinces a local modifier, and giving a province a local modifier updates the rebel type. So now you can see it's Catholic Zealots already, and you can also see that once I accept these rebels, Catholic will become my new state religion. Before I do that, you can see I'm going to lose 50 prestige, so I want to spend that prestige because I will be at -100 basically until the trick is done. I want to spend that positive prestige to placate one of my subjects. It doesn't really matter whom. I'm just going to do it to the maximum. There we go, because that gives additional you can see 30% liberty desire decrease. Anyways, now I can go to that province and accept the Catholic zealots, which also gives the Ulima 10% crowned, but crowned won't be a problem. You can see I'm already at 0%, so it doesn't really matter. And of course, I'm also going to lose prestige. Okay, so there we go. I'm Catholic again. And as I said, this means that I can click the same decision that I just 1 day ago clicked. I can click the same decision again and again and again, and it gives me 1% reform desire every time I do this circle. So there we go. Now we are already at 38% reform desire. Now it gets a little bit difficult in terms of the religion switch. I, of course, have 2 more Catholic development than Sunni development right now, so I need to get rid of Catholic development now, and I'm just going to do that by exploiting tags on 3 provinces, which now means I have 1 more Sunni development again. The problem is now if I, switch back to Sunni, which I should after a day. So apparently it didn't update yet, but that won't be a problem for long. I'm just going to probably let a month tick over for that. Yeah, as you can see, now the decision is available. This won't be a problem in the future. I promise you don't have to wait a month tick. Just for now, I can become Islam, so Sunni religion again, and get an additional stability, bringing me out of the negative, and therefore I'm paying way less interest also. So very nice, of course. There we go, Sunni again, long live the king, whatever. Again, mysticism, which, as I said, overtakes from previous times. So now I have 1 more Sunni development again, so I need to lose a few more. So I'm just going to lose 3 Sunni development by concentrating this state of Granada as well. There we go. Now I can switch to the Catholic religion again. The problem is I cannot do that infinitely. Okay, I cannot do that infinitely, not only because of the development, right? Because I have to, at some point, I have to develop I have to develop provinces, and also you can see I can't exploit my development infinitely, right? So at some point I'm going to run out of provinces to develop or mana points to develop, and to change my share, because every time I switch religion I have to do 2 development clicks or 2 exploit development. The other problem is why you can't do that infinitely is that you get the recent uprising modifier in the provinces that you accept the rebels on. Of course I could do that 2 times per province because I can decrease autonomy, but after I decreased autonomy, I can't decrease the autonomy again for another 30 years. So the problem is, let's just say I have 10 Catholic provinces, right? Or maybe 12. That means that I could do it 24 times. If I had infinite mana to develop my share of religions, right? Which I don't have infinite mana, but let's just say I had infinite mana, I could still not do that infinitely because of the recent uprising modifier. And here comes the interesting trick that I set up with all of these vassals in Ireland. Because you see, I have a province over here, which is the Inner Hebrides, which has only 3 development. Very important. Only 3 development. You can see all of my vassals, so Wales, Leinster, Meath, Tyrone, and Tyrconnell, as well as Man, they all border this province by sea tile. So I could theoretically feed this province to all of these subjects. First of all, what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to send a missionary here and start converting it. As I said, wait 1 day to get the dhimmi, update the rebel type. Now I get Catholic zealots over here. I'm just going to accept that demands over here again. So I'll be Catholic once again, and I can, of course, click the decision once again, giving me already 40% reform desire. I think 1 more event happened in the meantime. But anyways, now the problem is I have 2 development in Catholic provinces more than I want to have because I want to flip Sunni again. So this province is 3 development, okay? So what I can do is I can just feed it to Leinster, for example. And now if I wait 1 day, you can see I can click this decision immediately and become Sunni. So basically what I have to do is I have to wait 2 days per 1% reform desire with this entire circle. Now let me just show you what I mean. I can just adopt Islam as state decision. There we go. Whatever. And now what I can do is I need more Catholic development now again. I can just seize the land from them, which as it's only 3 development, it gives 5% liberty desire per development, so 15% liberty desire. So let me just do that real quick. And now you can also see why these are all marches with sent officers enabled, because I have to counter that. I, of course, fed them that province earlier. That's why I got 1.5% negative liberty desire, but this 15% brings it up to 13.5% liberty desire increase per time that I seize the province. That is why you can see also I gave these nations, or a lot of these nations, 4 out of these 6 nations, I gave them occupations of these 4 that I conquered, so that they would take loans and I could repay these loans. And therefore you can see Leinster, Man, Meth almost, as well as Tyrone, has a lot of liberty desire reduction from paid off loans. That means that I can basically now seize and grant this province instantly whenever I want and how often I want. You can see this province is now Catholic and I don't have a core in it, but if I send a missionary there, as I accepted the religion, which is really important to change the rebel type from the separatists, if I just wait 1 day again, gain the Dhimmi estate, update the rebel type, you can see that this rebel type is Catholic Zealots again. And now I can literally do the circle as long as these vassals remain below 50% liberty desire, which is basically infinite because I have 6 of these vassals, right? And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just going to, accept these rebel demands. There we go. Click the decision to get 1 additional reform desire. There we go, 41. Then I'm going to feed the province back to the same nation that I just seized it from. And now I'm going to wait another day, update the decisions, and become Sunni again. And this entire circle I'm now going to do until either all of these vassals are disloyal or until I hit 100% reform desire. So we are going to see when this is done. And this is it. This is the last time that I'm going to do a religion switch in this campaign, which is, of course, back to Catholic, what I was before. And you can see I did it the exact, maximum amount that I could do it with all of my vassals just being disloyal. I'll just need to seize the land back 1 more time to make also the last vassal disloyal. Now, of course, as I normally did, wait 1 day, update the rebel type, and accept the Catholic Zealots. And there we go, we are Catholic again. I can click this 1 more time, but obviously I want to click this 1 more time. But you can already see that we are at 100% reform desire, and now we are at 101% reform desire. So from now on, the event of the Protestant Reformation can already trigger. And by the way, about my crown land, I was of course losing my crown land to the Dhimmi, but as I'm Catholic now, you're going to notice what happens after a day. I'm at 5 grounded again, and now I can even seize land that I saved up for exactly this occasion, which brings me up to 10 grounded again. So no problem with autonomy whatsoever. And all I need to do right now is probably to just give one province away. So this one probably. There we go. Now we are below 100% overextension, and I can already start coring all of these provinces as, yeah, of course, it will take me some time to do that. But yeah, whatever, start reducing my overextension, while now the only thing left to do is to wait until the event of the Protestant Reformation triggers. And that's it. The Protestant Reformation triggered in 1463 in Burgundy, as it seems. And that, of course, means that from now on, we can flip Protestant, which obviously I cannot really do right now because I flipped my religion so often. But anyways, from now on, all the nice Protestant things are enabled, including, of course, in 10 years, the Age of Discovery will end, which might be bad for Portugal, but is very good for every other nation because of the province war score cost that it gives, as well as the Protestant Reformation, of course, enables not only the Protestant religion, but also the Reformed religion earlier, as well as some interesting things inside the HRE, such as the Great Peasants' War, that will trigger probably in 1480 or something. So very early, all of this stuff is very early. I think 1463 Protestant Reformation is truly the Pope's nightmare. So I hope you enjoyed this little video for this week, and we are going to see, as always, on another Monday.